Welcome to our third Weekend Gaming Wrap-Up podcast. This is RPGNate.
RPGGEM.
And RPGDad. So, what did we play this weekend?
The Kingdom of Ghouls.
Yep, we continued. All our characters level 24. Most of us are probably getting close to level 25.
The dwarf said he's around 9,000.
He should not be that far along, because he started after most of us. So
remember, he started at 24, though.
Yeah, but I was already halfway through 24. So either I missed some experience because of the program I'm using or something. I should probably already be 25. But anyway, we played Kingdom of Ghouls. And what were the encounters that we did? Well, we started off. We picked up where we left off, which was where?
At the warehouse. You guys had to kind of talk your way back out because they saw the extra ghouls walking behind the one guy.
Yeah, and the ghoul maker said, well, they were disrespectful, so I turned some of those human monkeys down there into ghouls to show not to act like that, and they're like, kind of a lot of grumbling and stuff, but we managed to work our way out of there and move on to what? The
temple place.
Yep.
Our ghoul maker is making like this big ghoul city right now. So.
Yeah, I know. My character's evil, but I think he's embracing the evil a little bit too much for my taste.
He's gotta be at least chaotic evil right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
You went to Passion's Rendezvous.
Okay, so, and that was a temple for, I guess, whoever used to be the Artificer's God, since...
I can look it up.
Since he's no longer...
I don't know how to read that.
He's no longer unaligned.
Can you not read it?
Well, I'm getting old, so...
Where? Encounters them?
Sahanine or Sahanini or something.
Something crazy
Sahanine, I think.
But anyway, we went to her temple, and the cult was hanging out there.
Yep. And
we get there at night, because, I just love to take a long rest so I can get my daily back, and it was all used up. Not my daily, my action point. But we get there, and whatever time it was at night, and
it was like 10.
And they were in the middle of her service, so we let them finish up. I stood around and guarded the door, and everybody else sat down.
It was like midnight by the time they finished, and then the guy's just like, I hate my life.
Yeah, the dwarf was trying not to fall asleep.
Yeah, since he's anti-gods. But, yeah, we kind of got through that without a lot of issues. When we talked our way to go through the portal, and bam, that first room we get into, what the hell was that? We get to the room where the portal is, where the Kingdom of Ghouls, and why don't you tell what happened?
Actually, you're in the Embassy of Ghouls. And I was excited because after the ACON that we went to, I got a free big map, like really big. What were the dimensions?
Oh, I don't even know, but it takes up too much of the table.
But I was able to draw out the entire map for the entire dungeon.
Yeah, it's one of those Chessex. That's the page right there.
Yeah.
It's one of those Chessex maps, and if whether it's the smaller one or the large one, if you're playing, your own homebrews or using something like this, these things are awesome because you can just draw the map out. We take baby wipes instead of taking a spray bottle or something. You wipe it off and take some paper towels, dry it off, and you're ready for your next map.
Because they're essentially the same thing.
Yeah, and we use the wet erase markers instead of the dry erase because they come off a lot easier. But the Chessex maps, it was great that you got it, but the problem is even with a double table, it takes up too much of the table. So...
Well, you guys can just put your character sheets on it.
I don't use character sheets. I carry a computer with me.
Exactly, so it doesn't matter. You have plenty of room, and the little bit of extra room it takes up of their space, they can just put their character sheets on a map.
Well, yeah, but I
like
the small map, so the problem was we could see the entire map, and we hadn't gone through. So I would have rather you would have drawn the map out room by room as we went through, but or draw it all out and then cover over the parts before we got to them. Then we wouldn't have seen them until we actually entered the rooms.
How would I cover over the parts, though?
Well, maybe next time we'll take a bunch of plain paper and you can put it over the rooms.
That will work.
You need to think ahead.
Well, I didn't expect.
But you've been dying to just.
I didn't expect I'd be using the entire map.
Well, we went to grab some lunch, and I come back, and the whole map's drawn out, and I'm like, well, we know exactly what the rooms look like. We just have to figure out what's there. But anyway, talk about that first room.
That first room was evil. I liked it.
I hated that room.
The pillars of zealotry and the zealotry, and the pillars of kinetic waves.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
The pillars of zealotry. If you were not in service to Dorsane or Orcus, you would receive an attack versus will, and if it hit, you would be dominated. Save ends. And once you had made your save, you were dazed. Save ends.
So, well, the problem was, I know you were mad because your first roll, you roll and you dominated me.
Yeah.
But I had that escape from grasp, which lets me do my saving throw as a minor action at the beginning of my turn. So when my turn came, you thought you were going to be able to charge and wipe out the party using me. And I'm like, nope, you were so mad. And then you didn't get to dominate me the rest of the time. And I took care of the one trap, and then we took care of the other. And then I went and sat on the throne.
And you lost the healing surge because you were stupid and tried to steal his scythe.
Yeah, he tried to steal the Reaper's scythe.
Well,
and he's like, does that actually happen? And I'm like, no, it doesn't say what happens. Just don't steal his scythe.
Well, I critted on the steel thing, so, you know.
Yeah, he was like, no, and he slapped you. You know? That took a healing surge away.
But anyway, that room beat us up a little bit. I didn't get hit at all, except for when you dominated me the one time, and then the rest of the time you failed on my will saving throw, or the will attacks. You did manage to dominate the mage.
And me.
And, yeah, the executioner. But you guys didn't do a ton of damage, fortunately. You hit the dwarf, and he's like, oh, I have poison resistance. Like, oh, too bad, your character's built out so you can't resist the poison.
Yeah, because, we were going through Tomb of Horrors at the time I was building it, and everything there had poison immunities or resistance.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'll take that. And she ignores all poison immunities.
Well, even when she misses, though, she does half damage. It's almost like, even though... What she did do, she had the one attack where she used her assassin strike on top of her thing, and she dealt like 100 points of damage.
Well, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. I could have rolled crit on the dwarf.
Well, you rolled a crit on that roll too, and then you added your assassin strike. Not on the dwarf. This was in another part. But
that was on the. Was that on the mummy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
the Hierophant.
But anyway, that first room. We're sitting there, and I've sit in the thing, and the Reaper pops up, and, you go, prove your worth, and the first thing I thought was, well, he wants a fight. And then as I got ready to get up, you're like, well, the image will go away. So I had to sit there and figure out, and it came out that he wanted to hear stories of all the stuff we had done.
Yeah.
And,
story time.
So we told him all the stories. We told him about all the evil stuff we did. Since I figured he was serving Orcus and those guys, we told him about all the bad stuff that we had done. And
considering what your alignments changed to, it was pretty easy.
Well, mine's just changed to evil, not chaotic. I'm probably my character's probably leaning more towards lawful evil, because of the way that I plan to have my city and everything that I have run. But like I said, I'm not going to worship any gods at this point. Since at this point I can't worship the Raven Queen anymore. My character's going to become her own god.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what she is.
Well, the magic user or whatever, the healer I think he is, well, he needs to change to chaotic evil, because what he's doing, that's just chaotic.
Well, what he's doing is just almost like when RPGNate plays evil and plays chaotic stupid. The stuff that he's doing, I really don't think even an evil person would go back and, feed the kids in the orphanage he came from to the ghouls. He would still have some type of attachment to that. I think that's we're gonna sway a little bit here, but I think that's some of the problem with people when they play evil characters. They think that because someone's evil that they're stupid, or because they're evil that they're just going to do absolutely abhorrent things. And the evil may not always be that way. Yeah, they're evil, and they're going to do things that they're going to do things that benefit them without caring about other people, but they're still going to have Yeah, and this is a debate that I have with somebody else, and they're wrong. Evil people are still going to have friends. Evil people are still going to have confidants. I mean, you look at history. Go ahead.
And feeding the kids to the ghouls, that would just blow his cover. Because kids disappearing.
Well, I mean, that's supposedly, with his background, that's his orphanage. Why would you go and do that where you came from? It's basically like your home. You're still going to have attachments to certain things. You know, unless that...
I mean, you may make the necropolis underneath the city, but you're not going to affect any of the inhabitants.
No, you wouldn't. So, I mean, I think that the problem is that most of these people don't know how to play an evil character. They just think that evil becomes just an abhorrent, horrible, horrendous character, and that's not it.
No.
You know, you're still going to have friends and confidants. Yes, if they betray you, you're going to kill them. But as long as nothing like that happens, you know, and you're not going to betray, you're not going to betray your group either.
His story behind this character is, remember the paladin he was playing?
Yeah.
And I made that paladin. I'm like, if you're playing a paladin, you're lawful good. Otherwise, you're not a paladin.
Yeah.
So he was lawful good. And the paladin gave him all his stuff. So why would the paladin give him all that stuff if he was going to do that?
Well, at that time, wasn't he a neutral character or unaligned?
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess maybe if they came from the same place and were friends or whatever, I can see it. But I'm sure that paladin would be hunting him down at this point and kill him.
Yeah.
So that's something you need to add to the backstory since he did that. I mean, he's totally converted to evil. A lot of the things that I've done that are evil to benefit the group, it's like when we did last week where I sent the people in that I paid off to go get ambushed instead of us. I didn't let anybody know where I was going, what I was doing, who I was hiring. All right, as far as they were concerned, it was just...
You were going to go get some tea with some random people and ask them, do you want to go die for us?
Well, as far as they knew, they could have just been other fighters that I sent in to get ambushed or whatever. It's still, but not me going to the homeless sector, equipping them, dressing them, paying them off, and sending them off to their death. You know, that was me looking out for the group, as well as myself. But
more the group than yourself.
You know that even though my character's evil, I do a lot to benefit the group. It benefits my character, but there's a lot to benefit the group, you know. They're all indebted to me for probably 5 to 10 million gold each at this point. Easily. Yeah. So...
And then the dwarf is...
But I'm not sitting there demanding money back or anything. I just expect that the group's going to be loyal to each other.
Well, the dwarf will slowly pay you back through the arena that he's building. So, you know...
But yeah, I think the dwarf has a grasp of what being an evil character is. But some of the people that are converting to evil, they're so used to playing unaligned characters who are really, let's face it, most people when they say their character is unaligned, do they ever do anything evil?
No.
No. They always play a good character. Their alignment should be bumped up to some level of good because they don't know how to play a neutral character. A neutral character will do good at some times, and they'll do bad sometimes if it meets their needs.
Well, I'm unaligned because...
You're evil. Like, you're evil too, because you've gone along with all the stuff that I do. You're a partner with me in the businesses.
Well, I was against the poor people thing that you did.
I know, but you're not against the piracy and the slave trade.
Oh, who cares about that?
Well, see, you're evil too. But, you know, that's the thing. We're not playing evil as a douche, or just assuming that an evil character, and that's the thing, an evil character may do something that can be perceived as good, but if it's in their benefit, it's not going to change their alignment. The problem is when people play these unaligned characters, and everybody out there listening knows, you play with groups, they say, everybody's like, oh, I'm unaligned, that way I can do whatever I want. You never, ever, ever see any of these unaligned people doing anything other than good actions. Do you? You see me doing it when I play an unaligned character. I always make sure I balance the good and the evil.
Until you finally tipped that balance.
I didn't care at that point. With this one, I tipped the balance, and I'm like, you know what, I don't really care. And I'll still be able to, if I do a few good things in the future or whatever, it's not going to change the fact that my characters become evil or lawful evil, whichever way that I end up going. Okay? And that's the thing. People don't understand that there are no absolutes. The only ones that are going to have absolutes are your paladins.
They're always going to be.
They have to be goody two shoes because if they fail, they lose their powers.
Well,
but an evil person is not going to lose their powers if they sit there and they give money to the homeless. Yeah, maybe they're doing that for a reason, but they're still doing a good action, even if it's to benefit them. Or if they give money to some temple, yeah, they're buying something off. But it ends up being a good action, even though it has evil intent for them because it's in their own benefit. It's not going to offset. The paladin, they're the ones that are totally screwed, and they have to always be lawful good. They can't do something selfish. They can't do something evil. To the
paladin's mind, because he was trained that way since he was young, he doesn't think that way. He thinks, I must help people, I must save those people, and I won't betray those people.
Exactly. And if they ever do any of those things, the opposite, that's when they're going to lose their paladinhood.
But it's very unlikely that they will.
It depends. Their players... Go ahead.
They'll probably go to, a blackguard or something.
Well, they'll flip to maybe a knight. They'll downgrade to a knight, which it's a downgrade because you lose some powers. You still have good powers, but or if they do something really stupid, then they'd flip to a blackguard. But, you can't do anything. I think that there are even DMs that give too much leeway to paladins if they do something bad. I mean, if you do something bad, that you're going to get bitch slapped by your god, and you're going to be done.
Yeah. And I've been the paladin last season, or in the Tomb of Horrors. He got real close. I was like, you do that again, you're not a paladin.
And I think he should have, once he did something that really flipped away from his alignment, that should have been it. Because they're the ultimate goody two-shoes in the game. And that's the way they have to be treated.
Well, after that, he didn't realize, I don't think, that I would do that. So I gave him a chance. Because I didn't want to just come out of nowhere and just be like, you're no longer a paladin. I wanted to give him a chance at least.
But, I think when you DM or you sit down with a group, I like the fact that you're starting to institute, you say it, you do it rule. But I think if we start any new campaigns or anything in the future, regardless of what it is, which I don't think they're alignments in GURPS. We have to really read up on it more.
You can make alignments, most likely.
No, it's not worth it. Just let characters be characters. But I think that in the future you need to make sure you establish, if you have a new table or something, this is how it is. If you're playing lawful good, you are lawful good. If you do something against your alignment's going to flip. If you do something against what your class does, your class is going to be lost. Don't let these people take liberties that they shouldn't be doing. Like I said, with the neutral characters, if all they're going to do is good things all the time, there's going to have to come a point where you say, look, you're no longer unaligned, you're now chaotic good. If they're always selfish but doing good things, or if they're lawful good or just good, you have to flip them and say you cannot be neutral anymore.
Yeah.
And if you flip them to good and they do something evil, say, look, if you do that, you're flipping the evil. There's no neutrality for you anymore.
Yeah. It's incredibly hard to keep neutral.
It is. I mean, it's a fine balance. And with most of my characters, I try to walk that balance. I'll do some bad stuff. I'll do some good stuff. I'll do some stuff that falls in the middle of the line. But, up until this point, I've always done what I could to keep my character as neutral as possible. I do good stuff. I do bad stuff. But once I really embraced the whole piracy thing and, creating the island and now the city, that I really want to be more of a Spartan-modeled city with everybody being a combatant, so that nobody ever wants to come anywhere near that place because we'll just destroy them.
Because there is war going on in the world.
And I made sure I entered this last war, and these people they're going to be sorry that they came, which they are sorry, because I'm pretty sure I took almost no casualties when they sent their little dweebs against my ships.
I'll figure it out.
It will be minuscule since, I've established that city that way since I started the island. But, there's a big difference between, a society based on, you're trained from childhood, whether you want to or not.
Well, at least you don't have the Invoker's job of drawing out an Acropolis with levels and layers.
Well, since my main city is probably going to be also centered upon Drow, it's
going to have those layers?
It's going to have a subterranean area.
Oh, you're going to have fun drawing that out.
We'll get some mapping software. I'm not worried about it. But something. But I really want to establish, it's going to be a lawful society. I know you said it kind of goes against the fact that I'm a thief, but, I don't care if somebody's a thief, just don't steal in my city, because you're going to get screwed.
I'd say the death penalty is harsh, no matter what. Just first
It
time.
is an evil society. Think about the evil societies in the world. Are there second chances? They cut your hand off or they kill you. So that's...
cutting their hand off, that's a warning. They don't
That's
do
a
it
pretty
again.
bad warning. But anyway, we got to that first room. I was able to disarm the one
You disarmed
the one column that
one.
was dominating, and then I said, screw it, I'm going to go over to that throne. Maybe they control the columns.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But what it didn't control the columns. It brought up the challenge, and we passed the challenge with the Reaper guy, and everything turned off. Of course, everybody was already dominated, kept doing their thing until they made their save.
Yeah. I got to a magic missile someone.
But they made their saves pretty quick, which was good because, I didn't need any healing surges done on me because you were doing reflex attacks and stuff, and you're never going to hit me.
The wizard's magic missile is awesome. It's just 23 damage.
Yeah.
How does he get that?
He bumped it up. He makes some good mages when it comes to that stuff, and he has.
He's a really good. He's played wizards so much he's just perfected the class.
Yeah, so I give him credit on that. I mean, he can sit there if you've got a room full of minions, he will wipe them out as long as he doesn't get crap rolls on his chain lightning.
It's funny because he got like 2 critical misses today with the chain lightning, and yesterday was just criticaling.
Yeah,
it was just like critical.
Well, that new die that I had, I kept critting on that thing. The one that I got from the last game thing where they're like, grab a die, and I always hate those nuke die, but this one's black, and it's got this really bright yellow ink in it. And
I'll relieve it from you.
No, I don't mind this nuke die. The one that I had was black with that red. You couldn't read it that clearly, but the yellow is just really, it just stands out so strong that I can read it, and I really I liked that die yesterday because I must have rolled 5-6 crits with that thing throughout the day, and it was, unfortunately, I think 3 of them were on initiatives.
I was almost hoping that you killed this guy because he gave out mummy rot.
The mummy?
Yeah. I love mummy rot.
Well, we've been working more on beating things down and knocking them out instead of killing them because the invoker's turning everything to ghouls. So
once he turned it into a ghoul, before it turned it into a ghoul, it would still set off. He just has to be reduced to 0 hit points. He doesn't have to die.
But once we did the perception check and figured out that we could talk him down, and he just really wanted his vessels.
Yeah.
And then that's where we just kind of got goofy because we went to the next room afterwards, and they were sitting there eating and gambling.
Yeah.
What did we do?
We ate and gambled with them.
Yeah, and first we walked in and we bluffed them, and like we've been doing,
well,
and we sat down and ate.
The dwarf...
This was the funny part. You go ahead.
The dwarf went ahead and did an arm wrestling contest. Of course, he lost.
Yeah.
Then,
well, he thought he was. Yeah, but he thought he was a shoo-in. I'm a dwarf barbarian. I'll just crush him. He rolled like crap and he loses.
But then my
these guys have some serious
drow character
these guys had some serious strength.
Beat the other.
Yeah,
guy.
but then the drow sits down, who's like 2-3 points lower on strength,
exactly,
and goes boom and wins on the arm wrestling. And it was funny because the dwarf was like, "I'm just so embarrassed. I'm gonna go hide in a corner."
No, he went and drank a bunch, I think, because he had to go.
And then the invoker and I went and sat down and gambled, and I decided to cheat, and I critted. That was one of my crits.
Yeah.
So I crit on the cheating roll, and then you critted to detect, and then I critted again on the bluff back.
And I critically missed on the counter bluff.
Yeah, so once I bluffed back, they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and it was just kind of fun because we spent 15-20 minutes in the room talking, drinking, you arm wrestling, and embarrassing the dwarf. It was a fun encounter.
Yeah.
My favorite room.
And then you ended up going back and slaughtering them all.
My favorite room was the one with the devil in it.
Well, we asked. Well, we went in there, and
you took like half an hour in that room. It was crazy.
It's funny because after we get done, we said, we're tired of hearing. We're just talking to the mummy next door. He's really annoying, whining about his vessels. Who's holding on to these things anyway? After we had gone and we had established ourselves, they're like, well, they're holding it down in that room down there. So we're like, all right, well, we'll see you later. We got to go through. So we went down and we go to that room, and what's in there?
A devil.
There was
female demon.
Let me find the page.
And you can't show us the stats because we still haven't fought them.
There was Merilith, named the demon, so she's... Oh god, I love those.
So keep going.
There were 2 of the Flesh Glutton and Battle Guards. Now those actually have hit points. They are pretty tough.
Well, don't tell us because we haven't fought them yet. We'll say what we did.
You did in the storeroom.
No, we didn't.
Yeah. They were the ones that were dealing like 45 damage.
No, but the demon's still there. We left that room without fighting them.
No, in the...
we fought similar creatures in another room.
Yeah, but they were the same creatures.
But they weren't these guys, because they were down there when we went. So we still have to fight this room.
Yeah,
the kobold minis were these guys.
But anyway, we get down there.
It was funny.
And I used my flying hook, and I swing over, because there's these stupid tapestries everywhere covering the hall. So I swing over, I land in that room.
And there was a hole.
And there's all these guys in there. And so... I got a good roll on the bluff, and then I managed to talk our way in. As I'm talking, I'm walking through the room, making room for all the other guys to come in.
Well,
I'm hassling back and forth with the demon. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Well, what are you doing here?" We're on Orcus's business, and through this, we're rolling back and forth, and I'm making the bluff checks and everything, and which I've got such a big bluff, it's easy for me to make the checks.
And I was pissing off the demon saying, it sounds like someone needs a hug.
Yeah, it was hilarious. But we spent 20, 30 minutes in there. And
ticking off the demon.
Yeah, ticking the demon off. But we figured out where the jars were. They were sitting on one of the benches. And you came over, and you're sitting there doing the somebody wants a hug, standing in front of the jars, covering them for me. And the demon's getting pissed off at you not paying attention. So I walk over, and what did I roll on my freaking...
You rolled like a critical.
I rolled a crit on the thievery, so I'm able to pick up these 5 jars and slip them in a bag. 4. Well, whatever, 4 or 5 jars.
Yeah, 4.
And slip them in a bag. I go, look, I'm tired of talking to you guys. We're going to leave. We still have work to do. So we go back. We give it to the mummy. He's happy. And he goes away. And then we went up to the room where he gambled and drank, and we killed those guys. And that was pretty much the end of the thing. We go in and we wipe those guys out. And, but... How many we did, like...
Well, you went through...
We only did, like, 1 combat encounter, which was against the room.
You went through this one, you talked your way through that one. This was more skill challenge.
This one was skill challenges, and we once I sat in the chair, it was a matter of figuring out what the guy wanted. We talked our way out. We did combat in the mummy room.
I was going to mess you up really badly.
Well, we did combat in the mummy room,
yeah,
and we
did.
Killed everybody but the mummy.
Yeah, because you talked him down.
And we talked him down. But that's part of the encounter,
yeah,
was being able to talk him down.
Yeah. It was like, once he's bloodied, the characters...
So, that was the storeroom. What did we do? We did the temple portal entrance, where you had to talk the guy down, and we did the storeroom.
And on the storeroom, there was all this writing on the walls, so
Then we go to the feast hall, where we did the gambling and hung out with the guys. So we go back after we had hung out with them, gambled, and kind of palled with them, and we slaughtered that room.
No, I started combat by saying, Willie the Wizard needs to go pee. Can he use you?
Yeah, that was kind of rude. But we did that, and that was the end. After we finished our combat, because what happened? The artificer had 15 ghouls running around at least.
Yeah.
So, and you set the rule where he could only have 5 at a time in play.
Yeah.
So he decided he was going to... They sat there for like a half hour working out. What did they work out that we were going to do?
Well, they were first trying to figure out what they wanted to use, because there was like this tree thing, but then he figured out that you can't get out of that. And then and then he finally decided on the portal, just the portal
what tree
circle.
Thing?
So that the one guy could bind it.
So they have that all taken care of. And while they were doing that, I went off and started a war.
Yeah.
Because you decided that 5 ships must have followed my ships back to my island, which was a really bad idea for them, since I have 100 ships sitting there right now. So it was roughly 1,000 men that got wiped out by what? 20,000 guys?
Yeah.
Plus, and that doesn't count everybody in my city. So they just came, and I sent all 1,000 heads back to Neverwinter with a message, don't bother me again.
Yeah.
So it was amusing. So I'm starting a war with Neverwinter. And I know that people out there think that's a bad idea, but I mean, I've got 20,000 men, trained men in my navy.
I have the module, so I can go look at.
I've got another 20, 30,000 on my island, and they're all, I don't allow somebody that's not untrained on my island. It's a military compound. That's it. You may be a blacksmith, but you're also a warrior. You're whatever. If you're of no use to me if you're not trained. Even the females, the women, which my character is a female. The women, you may have kids and hang out with the kids for a couple of years, but your kids are sent off to training once they hit 4 or 5. Hail Sparta.
Yeah.
So you don't want to hang out or attack my city. My 50,000 people can wipe out Neverwinters, whatever they have there.
I can actually go look it up once we're done this.
Because most of their city is just average guys.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. I just want a huge warrior class society that's going to be left alone once my character retires.
When your character retires, because
Oh, it's going to retire at 30 after I kill Orcus.
If you kill Orcus.
Orcus is dead. But anyway, it was a lot of fun this weekend. I think we actually did more role playing. We were there for 5 hours, and I bet better than half the time was spent role-playing and having fun.
You guys are role-playing more and more, and it's not even me nudging you to do it. You're just doing it.
Well, even, I noticed even the druid and the wizard, who haven't really been that into the thing, they were even getting into it and talking and having a little more fun. I mean, they're 4 of us who are really getting into it. Those 2 are starting to realize that it's a lot of fun to sit there and goof your way through and not just do combat.
Yeah.
And
as a DM, it's a lot more fun for me to do that because, I got to think about what they're going to say, how they're going to react to what you say, and just rolling. Well,
sometimes our roleplay fails and we end up in combat anyway. Or sometimes we just get tired of talking and I charge and I hit from behind and I'm like, screw this. I've talked enough. But either way, it makes the game so much more fun. I'm just not a fan of mini combat and calling it role playing because it's not. That's role playing, ROLL.
ROLL.
Like rolling a die.
Oh.
That's role playing. It's not role playing. And we've really started to turn this around where these modules are set up as combat modules. We're turning them into a role playing module where we enjoy ourselves and role play at the table.
And I mean, you may be skipping through combats, but as long as you guys are having more fun, I don't care. Because even for me, just rolling constantly and taking damage from my guys, it gets really, really boring.
Let's face it, an intelligent group would not just battle their way through everything. And I mean, they would work their way. They would try to do some stuff covertly. They would work their way through. We've had times where we pick up robes and we act like we're guys from the other group. We do what we have to make our way through, and we do combat when we have to.
And I mean, these guys aren't stupid, so why would they just immediately get up and attack?
No, nobody would. If you're walking in and you're putting yourself forth, and you can pass yourself off, which we have characters in our group who have no problem passing themselves off as one of them.
Yeah.
And, I'm sorry, but it's a bad DM that can't see that you can have a lot more fun by maybe role-playing through and not forcing combat on everything. Because, I go back to the days when we first started playing D&D and stuff. There was, I'm going to say it, a shit ton of role-playing in those games. Yes, we had combat. Yeah, we would go into the dungeon, trudge our way in, and because of the rules, once all the spells were blown, we'd have to take a rest, make our way back to town, sell stuff off, and keep going back and forth. It was like a train. But instead of doing that all the time, we did a lot of role-playing and enjoyed the hell out of the game. And that's really what I missed when we started off in 4.0. I missed the fact that every encounter was a combat encounter instead of having some role-playing, having some banter in the table. I mean, we have a lot of fun banter at our table.
Yeah.
I see other tables in there. We have the Pathfinder table sitting next to us.
They do
the
have
DM
fun.
does a lot of talking. The group is relatively quiet. You have one guy who he's like the alpha male of the group, and he does a lot of talking, but the rest of the group sits there, and you can tell they're waiting for the next combat. But the DM is trying to engage them.
Yeah, he's trying to make them roleplay. Like, I was trying to make you guys roleplay, but I really don't have to.
Now we've embraced it, and I think it helped that I embraced the role playing early on, and now the whole table is starting to move towards that and having fun.
When did we actually start like that? It was like midway through Death's Reach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once we got to Death's Reach, we was like, why don't we actually try to role play some and enjoy ourselves instead of just because honestly, we do less encounters now. But it feels like we do more because it's not you do your turn and you wait 20 minutes for your next turn. We all are engaged while we're role-playing.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think that there are people out there that all they want to do is build their character to do combat and stuff like that. That's fine, do it if you want, but as far as I'm concerned, that's boring as shit. I can't stand sitting there and you go from 1 to 6 or 7. Maybe you get 5, 6 combat encounters in if you're lucky. And that's if you're lucky because the turns can take forever. But you don't feel like you did anything. It was just, put your minis down. This is your starting point. Bam, you go. Put your minis down. This is your starting point. Bam, you go. And that is boring as hell. Where now we did the one that was a skill challenge and 2 combat encounters.
You went through the temple? That would have been an encounter if you attacked the priest.
Yeah.
You had to engage that one, though. Because the priest wasn't interested in fighting. You had to engage. So if you would have just run in there and started...
The dwarf wanted to go in and attack. I'm like, come on, let's go in and talk our way through. And when we found out there were like people there who were just commoners and they didn't need to get involved and the city didn't need to know what was going on, it's like, all right. And he wasn't happy about it, but it worked in our favor.
Yeah, the priest got real mad at you when you started like, Hail Orcus! In front of all these just innocent people. And like heads are turning and they're like, who said that? And it's just like...
Yeah, there's this drow back there going... Ah.
And they just see you and they're like, what the hell? And the priest just is like, come here! Yeah. And, yeah, it was funny because you guys really ticked him off by doing that because it was like just random... Hail Orcus! In the middle of just the ceremony.
Well, you didn't say there were a bunch of people in there. All we saw was a priest and a thing sitting over there.
So. I'll look at the text real quick because I'm pretty sure it said he was in the middle of a ceremony.
But regardless, we engaged them. The group is. I'm seeing more people smiling at the table throughout the time that we're playing because of some of the goofy stuff we're doing and just the stuff we're doing, and. It's more fun to see a group of people smiling instead of everybody looking at their sheets, flipping through, and waiting for that next turn.
The people who weren't quite solid before, the husband and wife, they've become more solid since we've started this.
And I see a lot more smiling from them over there. Even though some of the stuff we're doing, you could see them grimacing when Richard was talking about feeding the orphans to the ghouls.
I'm
pretty sure
I'm gonna have to talk to him about
I'm pretty sure I was grimacing about it because... I don't think that you
gotta talk to him about that, or I'm going to talk to him.
I'm going to, but I've had the evil discussion with him before, and I just don't think he understands that evil doesn't mean stupid. And
well, yeah, it says devout worshippers sit on plush benches.
But you didn't say that. You didn't say the worshippers. We walked in and we said, "What do we say?" You go, "There's a priest up there, and there's like a glowy spot over there." And so that's when we were like, Hail Orcus. If you said there's like 100 people in the stand sitting there praying and it was a temple for Sahanani, then...
You knew that. You knew that.
But, I know it was a temple, but I didn't know there were worshippers in there. And you said, they're in the middle of a service after we do the Hail Orcus, and he's like, shut the hell up. So...
He's like, shut the hell up. Come here, now. And it's just like... And you guys are just like...
What?
And it's like... These people don't know about that. Now sit down and I'll talk to you.
Yeah, and then we had to wait 2 hours for the service to be over.
Yeah.
But what I was saying, we did a total of what? There's the temple, the entry room, the mummy room, the feast room, then the bathhouse, then back to the feast room. The temple we talked our way through. The entry room was a matter of skill challenges and talking our way out again, because we're figuring out. So that's 2 where we had the role play. The 3rd, we go into the mummy room. It's just like, all right, let's kill this thing. So we fought that, and then we talked our way down.
You didn't expect the mummy to be able to be talked down.
Yeah, so we talked.
And you did make the check on the runes, so that kind of pissed him off too, because you did 20 damage to him right there.
So that's there. So then the fourth encounter, we walk in, and we talked our way through it. We gambled and had fun. And we got information on the vessel, so we walked back through. We said hi to the mummy again, go over to the bathhouse, and you sit there saying,
huh?
What'd you say to the demon?
I said, does somebody need a hug?
Yeah, you kept pissing him off after I talked everybody into the room. Well, and you talk, me, and everybody, we talk our way in, we get the vessels, and we're like, all right, we'll see you later. You're just crazy. And we got done after about 25 minutes of messing around in there.
I think the dwarf was sitting there. Is that time for you or something?
So, and then
and by that time, she was just like, you got 5 seconds to get out of here.
So that's 5 encounters and 1 combat. And then we went back to the mummy, gave him his vessels. That's not an encounter, but we went back in to number 6, which was revisiting the feast hall, and we did our combat. So that was 6 encounters and 2 combats. And it took us 5 hours, and we had a hell of a lot of fun.
But, well, no, it was more 4.5 because the last, hour, actually, they sat there starting to hammer out details about the thing.
That's true, but we went through those 6 encounters that I just laid out. It was temple, entry, mummy, feast hall, bathhouse, then back to the feast hall. So that's 6 encounters in 5 hours and only 2 combats. And we had a hell of a lot of fun doing it. And even at RPGGEM, she gets bored if we're just doing combat. You had fun doing all the role playing, didn't you? Mm-hmm. So I mean, if you have
and tormenting the demon, asking, "Do you need a hug?"
But that's another thing.
The demon seriously did need a hug.
Oh, you were pissing that demon off so much.
But anyway, if you have younger players and they're not that interested in watching everybody sit there and hem and haw over their combat turns, they're going to enjoy the hell out of the role-playing portion of the game. And if you're not including role-playing in your game,
I highly recommend that you do.
If you're not including it, you're
missing out.
You're missing out, and you're really screwing your table over and not giving them the full amount of fun that they can have. The game, any role-playing game, is more fun if you actually include role-playing, not just combat. And it was a blast this weekend. It was one of the most
honestly,
fun.
Make it as goofy as you want. It doesn't matter.
As
long as you have fun.
Well, if you have a serious table, it's fine. Have serious role-play. If you have a goofy table, meet the personality of yourself and the players and have fun.
Yeah.
But if you're not role-playing, when you're role-playing, you're missing out. You're doing it wrong. You're just doing it wrong, and that's why you're going to have players that come, they play, and they leave. If you're role-playing and doing the combat, your players are going to be engaged. They're going to want to come back, and they're going to enjoy the hell out of the game.
Yeah,
that's what kept me playing in our campaign when I was a kid for 6 years. We role-played, and we had a hell of a lot of fun. And we played the same characters. Once in a while, you'd have somebody die, but we had a hell of a lot of fun.
And I bet you teased him.
Oh, we did, because it was always something horrible. Like, if my level 15 assassin would have died once I got the Grandmaster, I would have shit a brick. It would have been awful.
You would have went in and kicked the DM's ass.
I would have been so mad to have to start over again after 6 years of play. But
the DM would have to do something about that.
My first character died 2 sessions in. It was a monk, and the monk sucked. My second character...
Did monks have flurry blows back then?
I don't remember. I never played a monk again because I was just like, this sucks. So I went and I played a paladin. And I did it. I played a paladin. And I played a lawful good character. I never went against my alignment, ever, because that DM made clear, you go against your alignment, you're screwed. And I had a lot of fun with that. I played it to level 8, and then we flipped into another campaign, started at level 1. I started that assassin, and I had a great time with that for years.
Well, psionics,
Yeah, the psionics and the assassin. It was just so much fun. But it wasn't because the character, the combat. It was because the group, and it was because we role-played. So, I'm going to reiterate, the one thing that we're doing with our group, we're role-playing heavily, and we're having so much more fun. And when we were first doing, what was the thing we did after the level 8 characters when we started at level 9 and moved on?
Tomb of Horrors.
Tomb of Horrors was just one battle after another. Bam, 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 bam. And it got grueling. And I think...
I did kind of start it there.
We didn't do much.
I started with a little bit of stealthing and kind of actually being able to sneak around the combats.
But we didn't do much, and I think that's what, we had some people that came, they played, and then they were done and they left. But now that we're role-playing, we've got a solid group that's showing up every weekend. And we're having a hell of a lot of fun. I sound like a broken record, but if you're not doing it, do it. Give it a try. You may say, oh, I'm not good at role-playing. Try it. Bring the introverts out and make them have fun. And if you're one of the introverts, force yourself to do it. You're going to have a great time.
And, I mean, some of the people that weren't very good at role-playing in the start have gotten better.
Yeah.
It just takes time. It takes practice, and you get better, and eventually it'll just come naturally.
Yep. But that's it. We did our 6 encounters. We've got to go back and kill that demon next time in the room full of guys.
Well, if you want to. It depends, because you got to...
We didn't collect experience for talking to him, so we're going to go back and kill him.
And tomorrow I'll be recording the new Island Paradise game.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a sec. But, that's it. Next weekend, we're going to move on. We're going to finish off these rooms so that he can erase the map that he drew out.
I don't want to.
And then...
It's so beautiful.
Wednesday, we have our encounters.
You can take a picture with your phone.
Wednesday, we have our encounter session, so we'll record Thursday for that. I keep promising about my vlog. I have to actually finish getting the lighting down and decide if I'm going to green screen it or not.
Hey, look, another map that I can completely draw.
But we're going to have that done this week. And tomorrow for the Red Boy Games blog, make sure to check that out late in the day because he's going to have some Deadpool gameplay up. And RPGGEM is going to have the Paradise Island for The Sims 3.
No, Island Paradise.
Island Paradise, Paradise Island, whatever the hell it is. And me, I will still have to get back to not Remember Me, because that's your game. You have to play that. I have to do the Last of Us, and I have to try to finish off Resident Evil, even though I absolutely hate that game. And I'm going to do a review of that and explain why I hate that game.
I don't like Remember Me because I'm not
story.
really able to catch on to what's going on.
I think you're not far enough in. Give it a chance and get a couple more episodes recorded, and then see if you can figure it out. If you don't like it, then you can can it. It doesn't matter to me. But that's it for this podcast. Be sure to check in on Thursday for our Encounters podcast wrap-up. And we're doing 5th edition on that.
Yeah.
But that's it. RPG Dad, signing off.
Bye.
Bye.